So if you've ever wondered what Cyberpunk 2077 would look like in Unreal Engine 5, check this out right here. This looks absolutely stunning, and it also showcases what we could possibly get with a third-person perspective. But man, the technology for Unreal Engine 5 is so impressive. We've got some various demo reels from artists using Unreal Engine 5 showcasing what is possible with a cyberpunk game or a cyberpunk theme, as you can see right here. But we're going to dive into that in just a moment. Some really cool stuff right there. Plus, we're going to be talking about some other news about Cyberpunk as well. But let's start out with these Unreal Engine 5 demo reels. This comes from Infant Terrible. Check them out in the description below. Also, various artists as well that worked on these demo reels. Again, credits in the description below. Check them out. Look at this. This is what I want to see. I want to see a third-person perspective showcasing our character. That would be really, really cool. And it would be nice to have flying cars in the future. Perhaps that's going to happen in Cyberpunk too. But this really showcases why CD Projekt Red is going after Unreal Engine 5 for the foreseeable future for their franchises. It's just absolutely incredible. It almost looks like these artists literally placed assets from Red Engine 2 straight into Unreal Engine 5. But look at that. That is so cool. But yeah, the third-person perspective for me personally looks absolutely beautiful. And we need to talk about why CD Projekt Red has gone in this direction. And they're basically abandoning Red Engine 2.0, which we are seeing right here. Of course, this is Cyberpunk 2077 that you're seeing, Red Engine 2.0, running on basically ultra settings on my PC. And it's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But the problem that they run into is a lot of bugs and glitches that are kind of hard to track and fix. And they're trying to simultaneously develop an engine, constantly reiterate it, and then also develop a game on top of everything else. And now with the future, with Unreal Engine 5, they can go to Epic and be like, hey, we have problems. Can you help us out? And Epic Games will be like, yeah, sure, we can help you out no matter what here. We know exactly what you need. And that type of help is going to be very, very big for CD Projekt Red when it comes to The Witcher 4. And then, of course, I would assume that we would, yes, get Cyberpunk 2077 2, I guess you would call it, a sequel, a proper sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what CD Projekt Red does in the future with Unreal Engine 5 tech, because also you have to take a look at this right here. This is a demonstration from Unreal with various artists, and they had 90 days. That's all they had to develop some sort of world to showcase. And this is the demo reel, and it's absolutely incredible what they were able to pull off within 90 days. Because of the technology that they have access to, mega scans, and they can build these open worlds in such a fantastic but very quick manner, which is going to be very, very key for CD Projekt Red in particular, because you got to remember, they're going to be attempting to do the impossible, parallel develop 2 AAA titles simultaneously. We'll have to wait and see if they can actually pull that off. But Unreal Engine 5, in my opinion, is their best bet in actually pulling that off. But you can see some of the visuals, what is actually possible here on Unreal Engine 5. And the most important thing is they've discovered brand new technology. I believe it's called Quixel, which allows them to render what is being shown by the camera only and at the fidelity of basically a linear game. So they don't have to really worry or stress out about, hey, do we make a linear game that has like super high fidelity, or do we go in and make an open world game that's going to have less fidelity in visuals? So that's basically what Unreal Engine 5 is going to allow CD Projekt Red to do, which is going to be really, really incredible. Now, we got to talk about some news about Cyberpunk 2077. We know that this game did very, very well in its initial sales within the first month. But check this out. We got to talk about this news right here. It says Elden Ring month 1 sales nearly pass Cyberpunk 2077. And there's a big difference here, though, in that Elden Ring was received very, very positively and continues to be received in that way, whereas Cyberpunk had a very, very rough start, and people are still skeptical about this game, and also the game isn't fully fleshed out with features currently. But let's dive into this article right now because there's just really cool comparisons that we can draw here. We have this. It says, we have a new report out from Software about the success of Elden Ring, and as of March 22nd, the company has revealed that Elden Ring has shipped 13.4 million units. That's a bump from the 12 million sales, it previously reported in its first 3 weeks. Essentially, it added another 1.4 million sales the next week. We do not have any numbers past March 22nd, however, at this point, so we'll have to wait and see if word of mouth affects the continued success of the game. And I think it will. Honestly, I think it's just going to keep rolling on. And yeah, I do think Elden Ring will become Game of the Year, which of course could have happened with Cyberpunk if it had launched properly. You know, if they had done an Elden Ring, I guess you would say, instead of doing a Cyberpunk. I guess that's how you would word it now. But anyway, it says this: the 13.4 million sales in just under a month nearly ties Cyberpunk 13.7 million sales that it racked up in its first 3 weeks of release in 2020. But Cyberpunk had the opposite word of mouth problem, where after the initial sales explosion, it took a year and a half to hit 18 million sales, with the pace slowing way down. And that is definitely the case right now. Now, it says it's easy to imagine Elden Ring is going to hit that 20 million mark before Cyberpunk and possibly the end of 2022. Yeah, I agree with that one. We'll have to wait and see what happens, of course, but I think Elden Ring is on its way to have immense success. Now, what's going to be interesting is that, yes, Elden Ring, I would imagine, is going to have a big expansion. From Software has done that with their Souls franchise, and I think even Bloodborne, if I recall correctly. But yeah, that's where I do believe Cyberpunk can have a new life with its expansion. I think more people might play the expansion than the base game down the road. That's saying a lot, of course, but I think they've learned so much from their mistakes with this one that they're going to have a lot of cool stuff in that expansion. We'll see if that brings back a lot of people, but yeah, only time will tell. But let's see what Jason Schreier had to say more recently about another game that was about to become a Cyberpunk fiasco. I guess that's how you would word it. He goes on to say this right here: last spring before E3, I spoke to some folks on Starfield who were extremely worried about committing to a November 11th, 2022 date based on the progress they'd made so far. Next Cyberpunk was the term floated. Good on Bethesda for delaying even after announcing that specific date. So yeah, a lot of us were really hyped and hopeful that Starfield was actually going to make its 2022 release date, which is not happening at all. Starfield has been pushed into the first half of 2023. And you know what? Nod to Bethesda for saying, hey, you know what? We need more time on this. Honestly, I do think perhaps there was a little bit of a panic from them and a worry that, yes, they would have a Cyberpunk fiasco if they did release this year, which of course is not good. I don't think these developers and publishers can get away with that anymore at all. It used to be that people were kind of accepting bugs and things like that because the game was a huge open world. This was new stuff back in the day, of course, when Skyrim released and things like that, but it's becoming more commonplace. And you have games like Elden Ring that are releasing, you know, in a quality state, and you have to really compete against that now. Now, we had a reply here as well. It says, yeah, but Cyberpunk was delayed too, which got me a little bit worried. But Jason Schreier did go on to say this: Cyberpunk wasn't delayed long enough. This will hopefully be. Again, only time will tell. I'm sure there's going to be a bug or two in a Bethesda game. I am certain of it. So yeah. Now, we got to talk about some of the rumored DLC coming up here for Cyberpunk 2077. Let's take a look at this headline right here. It says, Cyberpunk 2077 rumored gigs, DLC, everything we know. And this is what the article goes on to say right here about that. It says, if the rumored DLC turns out to be true, it certainly won't be anything massive, just extra side gigs to keep players busy until the expansion comes out in 2023. Gigs are Cyberpunk side missions, of course, sometimes ranging from 5 minutes in length to 30. CD Projekt bringing more side gigs is fine, and some players might even come back for a brief time to play, but it's still not what fans ultimately want, the promised expansion. It's understandable that the studio would want to push back the release date to avoid another botched launch, but the time is beginning to add up. If more gigs are coming to Cyberpunk, hopefully it's a good mix-up to the prior missions and brings a fresh feel to the world. So recently I did do a video about update 1.6, which would be coming out here in the next few months. In 2022, it seems, according to CD Projekt Red. They haven't given us an exact release date for that, but hopefully that is as big as what we got with update 1.5. That would actually give me a lot of hope, and I think they're going to throw those free gigs in there, but I hope they arrange it where there's really rewarding rewards, I guess you would say, cool weapons, new cars, that sort of thing I really want to see. And I know a lot of you guys especially want to see New Game Plus, so it would be nice if they were like, hey, we're going to throw New Game Plus into update 1.6. Here you go. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with update 1.6, but at least know this. It seems like it is coming out here in 2022, and we're actually going to be getting new Cyberpunk content in 2022 that, yes, is going to be free. But there's also another issue that CD Projekt Red is facing. They're known primarily for The Witcher, and it seems like they want to be known for other things. Yes, they're known for the botched launch of Cyberpunk, but this is the headline right here. CD Projekt Red needs more than Witcher games. Do you guys agree with this, or do you think a company can survive on one game if done right? I always think about Rockstar, how they've diversified their portfolio between two main titles, that being, of course, GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. From what I'm getting, it's quite simple. That's what, of course, CD Projekt Red is trying to do. Just have two big franchises between, of course, The Witcher and Cyberpunk, and rotate between those two. And it seems like they want to add spin-off titles in between releases, which I personally think is genius, and I hope that actually works, because I think that's kind of the future of a lot of game developers and publishers anyway. But yeah, let's go over your top comments from my most recent Cyberpunk video, which was this one right here. Cyberpunk update 1.6 is sooner than expected. CD Projekt Red opens up new updates. So let's see what you guys had to say about this one. Yes, it looks like update 1.6 again. It's coming out here in a few months in 2022. So let's see here. We have the comment from Cyrus XI, who says, I hope that CD Projekt Red gives me a reason to return to this game one day, and with a lot of new and improved additions. How about third-person perspective? That's what I want to see. I want to see third-person perspective like we got to see in that Unreal Engine 5 demonstration. Now we have Zach Blue, who says this: we really need an updated roadmap for Cyberpunk and better communication between the players and the devs. Will we get a roadmap? I'm going to say probably not, simply because I think there is a kind of a paranoia behind setting dates now. I mean, we've seen it in the past where they are just not nailing down dates or release dates at all for Cyberpunk. So yeah, they're just saying, hey, it's going to be a couple months, and that's it. That's all we get anymore. And then with the expansion, 2023. It would be nice to have an actual roadmap, but right now it just seems like over at CD Projekt Red, things are in such influx, especially when it comes to people going and leaving from the company, and they're hiring and they're changing engines, that they really just need to focus on what they need to focus on. Now, we have Caleb, who says this: for Christmas, my mom bought me Cyberpunk. I love the story and didn't mind the bugs. After I beat the main story, I took a break for a little, but I have been getting back into it, and I love this game. I'm excited for new updates, even though I'm on Xbox Series S. Pretty sure that's an old gen, but still excited. That's pretty good. That's really good, though. I've heard that looks great on that console, but yeah, it's awesome that you got Cyberpunk for Christmas, and I've definitely been getting back into it more and more since update 1.5. You know, usually with the updates, I'm like, this is okay. I'm kind of just shrug. But lately, I've been really excited, and I'm kind of a little hyped. I'm guarding my hype levels, of course, but I'm a little bit hyped for, of course, update 1.6. Now we have Raven Blackwood, who says, I really do hope update 1.6 brings us New Game Plus. It's great to do multiple runs with different builds, but I'd like to also start from the beginning at level 50 with my favorite build. That would be so freaking cool. And another comment about it too, Cameron says, hopefully update 1.6 will be as big or even bigger than update 1.5. That's the hope. We can only dream at this point. But yeah, I'm going to keep you guys in tune to see what happens next with Cyberpunk. Always have the latest news about this one, so no worries about that. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk news. I have you covered on anything regarding Starfield as well. and any other open world gaming goodness that I really want to touch base on. Let me know what you guys want to see, of course. But thank you again, and I will see you all next time. Take care.